Chapter 8. Tessa crashed into her room without a fully formed plan in her head. She couldn't decide if it would be best to crank up her computer and scour every archive she could find, study it all intensely, or if it would make more sense to grab the computer and stalk over to the thralls and confront Gideon first thing. She was leaning toward the confrontation just because it would be faster. But what if he lies? What if he just makes up some story? I don't know enough to be able to tell if it's true or false. In the midst of scooping up her computer, Tessa paused long enough to take a deep breath. And then she stopped completely. Her room smelled like paint. Fresh paint. Her room hadn't been painted in years. Tessa whirled around, gazing open-jawed at the wall she normally didn't notice. There, just above the bed, in the middle of the wall, she now knew lay between her bedroom and Gideon's. The paint caught the light and glistened, as if some of it wasn't quite dry. And, Tessa studied it more closely, in one wide circle that contained the glistening spots, even the dry paint was a slightly different shade of industrial gray than the rest of the walls. Why? Tessa wondered, how? She remembered that a storeroom lay directly below her room. The janitor who occasionally bothered to clean the hallways kept brooms and trash cans in there. It was possible that he had cans of paint there as well. Instinctively, Tessa looked down. The battered rag rug that she kept across the floorboards was bunched up slightly out of place. Tessa kicked it aside. There, in a spot that had been hidden by the rug before, someone had taken out the nails from a roughly circular area of the floorboards. Someone? Tessa thought. Oh no, I know who did this. She looked from the circle of fresh paint on the wall to a circle of unattached boards on the floor. She was working on a theory. So Gideon wanted to get out of his room without being seen. He cut a hole in my wall and then pried open a hole in my floor. He crawled through and then tried to erase all signs he'd been there. But he couldn't put the nails back in the floorboards to completely cover his tracks because Tessa looked down again. She knew why. Because he still hasn't come back. Was he going to, or was he gone for good? Tessa hugged her arms against her chest as if she were capable of comforting herself. She'd forgotten she was still holding the computer, and the cold metal sent a jolt through her system. She jerked her arms back, tilting the computer crazily. A thin sheet of paper fell from in between the keyboard and the folded screen. Tessa immediately crouched to pick it up and read it. I scrubbed this clean, the computer. Forget about me. Destroy this note, too, of course, and then there will be nothing to link you to any of this. I'm sorry.